Howdy, 7th grade. Today we're going to be talking about how to solve some percent problems with an equation. But first I want to go over just how we solve old percent problems that we did all the time. And that would be a problem that looks something like if I'm looking for 50% of 20. This one should be fairly simple, but we know that percent right here means out of 100. So I can rewrite this as a fraction, 50 out of 100 of means multiply, and 20 stays the same. Now that we have this problem, we can just multiply across. 20 is 20 over 1. 50 times 20 is going to give me 1,000 divided by 100, which is going to equal 10. So that's how we solved percent problems in the past. But today what we're going to do is solve these with equations, which should make life a lot more interesting. What solving these with equations look like is we have to remember that there's basically only one way to write an equation with a percentage. And that's that a part is going to be equal to a percentage of a whole. And of course, is going to mean multiply. So I can call that multiply if I like, or write of, and it'll work either way. So an example problem would be that 32 ounces, I'll only get a new color for this, 32 ounces is going to be, 32 ounces is going to be 25% of a gallon. So 32 ounces is 25% of a gallon. And how I can write this is that my part is 32 ounces. 32 is my part, and it has to equal some percentage. 25% of means multiply, and then I have a gallon, which I'm just going to write as G, because I don't know how many ounces is in a gallon. So if I want to try to find that out, I just have to solve this equation. And I want us to remember that when we're trying to solve an equation, our goal is to get the variable alone. So our goal is always going to be to get the variable alone. So I'm going to rewrite this equation up here, keeping the 32, but 25% we know is the same as 25 over 100 times G, which is still going to be the same if I simplify that fraction as 1/4 times G. So what's happening here is G is being multiplied by 1/4. So if I have an equation, we've talked about this, I can do the same thing to both sides of the equation and I'll be okay. So what I want to do is to get rid of that 1/4. Right now the 1/4 is multiplying. The opposite of multiplication is dividing, so I'm going to divide. So I'm going to have 32 divided by 1/4 equals 1/4 times G divided by 1/4. And if you note, I divided both sides by 1/4 and I'm all ready to go. So what I'm going to do now, 32 divided by 1/4 is going to be the same thing as 32 over 1 times 4 over 1. So I flipped this 1/4 here to 4 over 1 to be able to change my division into a multiplication. And that should be equal to 1/4 times 4 over 1. So I did the same thing here. I changed this to multiplication by flipping my 1/4 to 4 over 1 times G. And this looks a little bit more complicated than where we started, but it should simplify. So 32 times 4 is going to be 128, equal to 1/4 times 4 is going to be 1, and 1 times G is just G. So from there we can say 128 gallons, or sorry, 128 ounces is equal to 1 gallon. And I want to show you guys a couple more of these examples. Again, our format is always going to be that the part is equal to a percentage times a whole. So part equals percentage times whole. So now we have that I bought a car for $8,500. $8,500, and tax is going to be 7%. and I want to know how much I paid in tax. So I have to figure out what I'm working with here. I have a percentage here, I have an amount here, and I'm trying to find the part I paid in tax. So I don't know the part. That's going to stay as a P is equal to a percent. My percentage is 7%, times the whole, and the whole price of the car was $8,500. So my part is going to be equal to the percent of the whole. 7% will turn into 7 over 100 times 8,500 equals P. My variable is already by itself, so I am good to go there. And if I do this multiplication right here, I will get that that part is equal to $595. And that means that I would have paid $595 in tax for this car. So after this, it's basically just plugging in and going and going. Another way we could look at this is what percent of 25 is 23. So what I'll do here is my whole is going to be 25 and my part is 23. So if my part is 23, I'm going to write that by itself. That's going to be equal to my percentage times 25. So it's going to be equal to my percent times 25. And my goal here is to get what I don't know alone. What I don't know is this percentage. So right now the percent is being multiplied. We see our multiplication right here. It's being multiplied. So to undo a multiplication, the opposite of multiplication is division. I have 23 divided by 25 equals my percentage times 25 divided by 25. 23 over 25 stays as 23 over 25. I can't simplify that. It's going to be equal to my percentage. 25 divided by 25 is 1. My percentage times 1 is 1. So 23 over 25 is my percent. If I want to write this as most percents are, as something over 100, I could just rewrite that as, let's see, that would be 92 over 100 would be my percentage. And after that, I am good to go. So basically our strategy here is to plug in what we know in our equation, which is going to be that our part is equal to some percentage of our whole. Plug in what we know, and for the one that we don't know, we are going to solve for it, which means we're going to try to get it alone. And then after simplifying, we should be able to figure out what it is. Rinse, repeat, reuse, recycle, etc. So please do the practice set. There's like 8 problems there that y'all can work on. And all of these problems have whole number answers, just kind of a quick way to see if you got it right. If you got a whole number, that means you are good to go. And I will see y'all in class.